I'd like to call this meeting of the Lammersville Unified Board of Education to order at 7 o'clock. If I could please ask that you silence or turn off your cell phones as this meeting is being live streamed and recorded. If you would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Trustee Clement.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Lisa Boulay.
Here.
Colin Clements.
Here.
Anita Daniel. Here. Stephanie Olsen.
Here.
David Pombo.
Here.
Sunita Jithendra.
Here.
Approval and/or corrections to the agenda.
There are none.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
On a motion by Trustee Clements and seconded by Trustee Olsen. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, committee reports. District Advisory Committee, there is nothing to report. District English Language Advisory Committee, Trustee Clements.
The next DLAC committee meeting will be on August 26th at 6:30 p.m. It'll be virtual.
Thank you. Education Committee, there is nothing to report. Facilities Committee, Trustee Clements.
The next facilities committee meeting will be Thursday, September 23rd at 6:30 p.m. here in the district boardroom.
Thank you. Policy Committee, Trustee Clements.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Safety Committee, our next Safety Committee meeting will be September 15th at 3:30 here in the boardroom. And Wellness Committee, our next Wellness Committee meeting will be October 20th at 3:30, and it will be virtual. Governing Board reports. Madam Student Trustee.
Currently, we just finished our first full 5 days of school, and I, along with the other high school students, are really excited to be back. Right now, ASB is putting all of their focus into planning homecoming, which we plan to hold our annual parade in 20 days. And in addition, the ASB Academics Commissioner and I are planning our student equity panel that I brought up last year at the meetings. I hope to have an outline for that by the next meeting, so I can present it then. And that's all.
Thank you. Trustee Clements.
Along with most of my peers on the board, I attended the groundbreaking for the Red Rose Montessori School on Friday, August 6th. Last week, Trustee Olsen and I, as the board representatives on the Facilities Committee, toured the athletic and performing arts facilities at Mountain House High School. I wanted to thank Associate Superintendent Harrison for being so generous with his time. The tour was very informative and enabled Trustee Olsen and I to gain perspective about where our facilities stand so that we can help chart a course for the coming school year. I attended Mountain House CSD board meeting on August 11th and shared the latest happenings with our district. I attended the staff welcome back breakfast at the high school last week and also managed to visit Costa Elementary School and Wickland Elementary School that day as well. I visited Costa Elementary and helped Learning Commons technician distribute 5 pallets of consumables. Wow, that's a challenge. I visited back to school night at Hanson Elementary and Altamont Elementary earlier this evening. To the students, I wanted to say welcome back to school. We are very excited to have you back in the schools and classrooms. We wish you a very happy, healthy, and successful school year. To the staff and teachers, I wanted to say welcome back to school. As always, thank you so much for all that you do for the children of our community and their education. You are awesome, and we cannot thank you enough. That's all I have, Mr. President.
Thank you. Trustee Olsen.
As Trustee Clements has already said, on August 6th, I attended the Red Rose Montessori groundbreaking. And on Monday, August 9th, on Thursday, August 5th, I also was at the Mountain House walkthrough where students received their IDs and ASB cards, and it was very well organized. On Monday, August 9th, as Trustee Clement said, we did a facilities walkthrough with Associate Superintendent Harrison. And I also want to thank him so much for his generosity of time and all that he does for the district, because while we were on the tour, he was not just helping us do what we asked him to do. He was eyes all over the place, checking for safety everywhere. And I mean, that's just amazing observation skills that he has nothing's going to go bad under his eye, it feels like, so that was really impressive. And in the afternoon on Monday, August 9th, I was able to attend the Altamont Professional Development, and the teachers there were having a session with learning solutions, and it was some of the best 2 hours I could have spent of my time to see what our district does and see what our teachers do to get ready to teach our students. And it was a wonderful collaborative process, and I thank Principal Bogle very much for giving me that opportunity. On Tuesday, August 10th, I attended the pinning ceremony and welcome back breakfast at Mountain House High School. Congratulations, by the way, again, to all of the Lammersville Unified District 5, 10, and 15-year PIN earners. It's really exciting to see so many people stick with this district. And it was really great to see the teachers back and prepped for a fun day of professional development. I did miss their volcano event, and I would love to hear a report on that. Like, hey, we were going to erupt a volcano, apparently. I also went to Costa that day to observe the morning professional development session, where the coordinators zoomed in to each school site and gave the morning 2-hour presentation that was excellent for our teachers. And my favorite part was, even though the teachers were very collaborative the whole time, was when they had the competition between the school sites. And I was only at Costa, but I imagine the energy of competition between school sites answering those questions was the same everywhere. And that was kind of fun to see that side. On Thursday, August 12th, I attended the first day of instruction at Cuesta Elementary. And it was really great to see the students and parents back on campus. And on Sunday, August 15th, I attended the India Independence Celebration along with Trustees Daniel and Pombo. And it was such a beautiful event. There was beautiful dancing, entertainment, music, and a parade. And I did not understand the words, but when they played the Indian National Anthem, that was one of the most beautiful anthems I think I've heard, and I thought that was just a wonderful event, and I'm glad I was able to be there and celebrate that with them. On Tuesday, August 17th, I visited Hanson Elementary, and I observed 3rd grade through 5th grade classes, middle school classes, and I observed TK through 2nd lunch recess, 3rd and 5th lunch and recess, and I was really impressed with the students there. They were so polite and respectful, and our district operational lead, Big C, was at the school site filling in, and he was going above and beyond cleaning the lunch tables for safety. On Tuesday, August 17th, I also attended Cuesta Back to School Night with Trustees Boulay, Daniel, and Pombo. Today, I visited Lammersville Elementary School, and I observed classes and lunch and checked in on the Lammersville Education Online to see how that was going. And I appreciate Principal Duran for giving me the opportunity to observe that. And then just before this board meeting, I attended Altamont Back to School Night. And I just want to echo your wishes that everybody have a great and successful school year and that we stay safe. And I feel like I just need to say that I want to thank this board, and I want the community to know that we're all individuals, but I've spent time with each of them at these various events, and we're a team that wants to help each other, help the district, and be successful as a district. I'm just so honored to serve with you all, because I know that your interests are for our students, and that just makes me very grateful. And I appreciate everything that people do for the benefit of our students, and that is all.
Thank you. Trustee Boulay.
Thank you. I know that we have talked about this in a couple previous board meetings, but I really want to thank this CSD for their work in getting the speed bumps placed at all of the schools, particularly before school started this year. I've been to several of the schools during high traffic times, and I think it really is making a difference in keeping students and vehicles safe. So kudos to the CSD for making that happen. The rest of my board report really is going to be focused on the energy and excitement of doing things in person this year and getting as back to normal as we can, because all the other things that I did Prior to this week, it was just attending things in person and seeing that energy that you can't experience through Zoom. So on August 5th, I attended the walkthrough registration at the high school. And again, congratulations to the high school. It was such an organized event. They had, I think, all of their administrative staff, all of their office staff, helping the kids, helping the families, answering to questions, directing the flow of traffic. And it was really quite smooth. There was lines at the photo booth. It wasn't a photo booth, I guess, but the ID section. But everybody was so patient, families, kids, and all the staff. So thank you to the high school. Last Tuesday, I attended the Wickland breakfast and pinning ceremony for teachers and staff who have longevity within the district. And again, I want to congratulate everyone who earned their 5, 10, and 15-year pins this year. It was great to see the teachers in person, the staff in person, and it was really an honor to celebrate with them. On the first day of school, I hung out at Bethany Elementary, and as soon as you got on campus, you could feel the excitement of being back in person. And I want to give a shout out to Bethany School Foundation because they really created a festive atmosphere. They had this great backdrop with Mylar balloons, shiny, blingy, and it made a great backdrop for kids, for photo ops, and I think it was very welcoming. Bethany also had a very, very smooth and organized morning, getting kids on campus and getting to where they need to be, with staff directing kids who were unfamiliar with campus. So they did a great job. And then last night I attended the Costa's Back to School night. Again, it was fun to visit the various classrooms, see how creative the teachers get with their decorations and how to make just a really fun, successful learning environment for their kids. And then this afternoon, this was unplanned, but there was a Menchie's fundraiser at the high school, and it was supporting HOSA. And I love HOSA, and I love Menchie's, and I love supporting fundraisers with food. So yeah, we had ice cream after school. That's all I have.
Thank you. Trustee Daniel.
Thank you. So first of all, I'd like to start by thanking Trustee Olsen for mentioning how great it is to be part of this team. And I would like to echo that it is indeed great to be part of the 6-member team. And thank you for guiding me and embracing me in this board. So thank you so much. I'd like to start my report starting from August 5th. The Mountain House High School walkthrough, and it was very well organized. I was there for my daughter, who's a senior, so the pictures were very well organized, and the parents were very happy. Everybody was happy to be back there in person, so that was a great one to start out with. In August 6th, I attended at 8:30 a.m. attended the pin ceremony at the district office with President Pombo. And congratulations to all the 5-year, 10-year, and 15-year service teachers and staff. Sorry, and it was wonderful. The breakfast was awesome. So thank you, LUSD office, for the breakfast. And August 6th, again, after the pin ceremony, along with Trustee Olsen, Trustee Clement, and Preston Pombo, I did attend the Red Rose Montessori groundbreaking. It was definitely exciting to be there too. Then on August 7th, I did attend the ribbon cutting of the first annual SISIG, maybe I could call it SISIG, Festival Cook-Off event at the Mountain House Central Park. So there were a lot of vendors, great music, and lots of food. And it was organized by the YEP MJ Events, and it was a 4-women team who pulled off that awesome event. So it was fun to be there, and there were a lot of our Mountain House youth who were volunteering. So that was a great event to be there. On August 11th, I also attended the pin ceremony and welcome breakfast at Costa School. It was really great to be there. Congratulations to all the teachers for their years of service. I would like to give a shout out to Noel, who put together the video comprising of all the years of service and awesome pictures. So community, if you get a chance, please check out the LUSD Facebook page and the website where the video is uploaded. So it's an awesome video, and thank you so much, teachers and staff and admin, for your years of service. We really appreciate it. Thank you, Noel. August 12th. Yep, August 12th, the first day of school. Excited. And I was able to have my school site visits at Cordis, Hanson, and Mountain House High School. I actually would like to thank Principal Yeager, Vice Principal Silva, Principal Pacheco, and Principal Faubert for their time in assisting me throughout the visit. I could see the students, teachers, admins, everyone were excited, and so was I, to be there in person. I also witnessed that everyone were following the mask policy, which was great to see. And also the staff, the custodians, the lunch people, when they were arranging, I was there, they were all going above and beyond on their efforts. So thank you so much, everyone, for making sure that the school is a safe place for our students and going above and beyond. And that really matters. So thank you so much for that. August 13th, I visited our PDC and met with our curriculum team and our IT team. I really thank Ms. Sherbin for assisting me through both the teams, and it was so much of energy there, just being present there. And I love curriculum, I love syllabus, and just being there just energized me, and learning about all the GATE programs that we are providing, all the different committees that our teachers are getting trained in order to effectively help the students was just awesome to just know, and also to meet them and to watch them train our teachers was fantastic. So thank you so much for your time, Mrs. Sherbin, and also explaining the different aspects. I'm sure we will get to know more about all the different wonders of GATE that our students will be doing. So again, thank you so much for your time that day. It was also great to watch our IT team. They are basically the people who take care of the technology part. So they were doing an awesome job too. So that was a day well spent, a Friday well spent. Then on August 11th, I actually went to the library. I'm actually going to come back to it at the last part of it. I'm going to continue with August 15th. August 15th, I attended the 75th Indian Independence Day celebration at the Mountain House Central Park. It was really it brought back memories to me, and it was really nice to be there with Trustee Olsen and President Pombo, and it was a day where we could all cherish the flag hoisting and other things. So August 16th, actually that was organized by Mountain House Sports and Recreation Club. So thanks to all the volunteers who worked really hard there. August 16th, I met with Dr. Busitel, Dr. Miller, Dr. Saylor, and Gloria Grichwala to understand about each and every one of the departments. So thank you so much for your time. Thanks for sharing your roles, and thanks for helping me understand as a new board member about the bigger picture of all the other efforts that go behind our LUSD to make this a really great place. So thank you so much for your time. So I have 2 shout-outs, actually 3, I guess. So let me start with the first one. So while I was there on the first day of school on August 12th at Mountain House High School, the building C did not have AC. And then the teacher, I was able to share that with Mr. Harrison, and it was an immediate action that Mr. Harrison was able to take care of. So thank you so much for that. And all the students, the days went by really well after that. So thank you so much. And I also have a shout out to our Mountain House librarians. On August 11th, I was there at the library. I spent about 4 hours sitting there doing some work. And then I was watching all the young kids come by and get prizes for their summer reading program, which was awesome to watch because they were also excited after a long time, they were just coming. Everybody was in person grabbing prizes and things. So what I would like to mention, though, the effort of the Mountain House librarians, because they were tirelessly calling each and every winner on the phone, and they kept up the energy, giving them kudos and asking them to come in person, collect their prize. So this shout out goes to them for all the effort and the tireless calls, and also keeping up the energy and sharing the good news to the kids. So shout out to librarian Kathleen Buffle-Ben. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. Librarian Amanda Clifford, librarian Kay Lewick, librarian Nathan Mays. Thank you so much, Mountain House librarians, for that, and keep up the good work. Lastly, I would like to thank Noel and Dr. Nicholas for always being there to answer any questions that I have based off on related to the syllabus, related to the LEO program, related to setting up of meetings, or anything at all when I come to you. Thank you so much for taking time and clarifying and answering. One last thing I would like to mention, and then end my report, is that there have been a lot of questions from the community, from the parents. Parents have directly reached out to me, and this is an opportunity for me to take to address and also share my knowledge about it. The concern has been about, okay, how do we, what is the process between LEO and LVLA? Why are we not being provided LVLA? When there is a situation where there is a positive case, what happens, and why aren't we not, if we have to go to the LEO, it's not like LVLA? So what's the scenario? So this is what I would like to let the parents know. We and the superintendent and the LUSD office have been working really hard to put together the LEO program. Now, the LEO program is something that was created based off on the ABSB 130 guidelines that we were provided by the state. We would, our superintendent office would love to provide the LVLA program, but we are unable to because of the state budget. The state has not provided budget to us to provide the same sort of program, but they have given us those guidelines, which is ABSB 130, and they have particularly told us about asynchronous teaching, so many minutes, and so many rules, guidelines there. So, and that's exactly what's being followed in the LEO program. If you get to look at the details and the guidelines, you would find that. And that is what we are able to provide at this point of time, following the guidelines. So I would like the community to understand that we are abiding by the guidelines that have been provided to us to provide the best online education that we are able to, that has been designed. Now, we also have a fantastic principal, Ms. Duran, who will be able to answer any questions that you may have. She's open to working with you. If you're concerned about the parent, should the parent stay there with the kid and work, or how can we handle the scenario, she's willing to work with you, and I'm sure she'll do an amazing job answering all your questions. So kindly reach out to Principal Duran with regards to any questions that you may have with your LEO program. Apart from that, Dr. Nicholas has also mentioned in the previous board meetings that there is an SST team, which is the Student Services team, who will also be there in the LEO program, and they will help and guide the struggling students. So again, please reach out to Principal Duran if you need more details on LEO. But again, we want, we the board members and the LUSD office and the superintendent, we really want the kids to have the best possible. But at this point, this is the best that we are able to provide based off on what we have to follow and the budget that we have. Now, in person, let me talk about in person. In person, there is a lot of safety that's in place, and the principals and the site admin and the teachers are working tirelessly and making sure they are going above and beyond to make sure your child is safe. All our kids are safe in the school. So both in person and the online, as an office, as LUSD office and board members, we are trying to do our very best. So please do reach out to the respective principal at school. They are more than ready to help you with any concerns. And this is what I wanted to share to all the parents out there, that we are here with you. So we will always be there with you. And if you still have any questions or concerns, we are all here to help you out too. Thank you so much. Thank you, President.
Thank you. First off, I would like to echo my fellow board members in thanking all of our teachers and staff, students and parents for a successful beginning to the school year, and knock on wood, it will continue to be a successful school year. I would also like to echo the thoughts of Trustee Boulay in thanking the CSD for the speed bumps at the high school, around the schools. I would also like to thank Associate Superintendent Harrison and the Safety Committee for working with the CSD and making the speed bumps and the operation of the traffic lights a priority to get done before school started. Thank you, sir. The benefit of going last is all the other board members have already told you all the things I've done. Just quickly, I attended the district pin ceremony. They said the date, I don't remember when it was, but it was last week. I also attended the groundbreaking for the Red Rose Montessori, as well as other businesses that are going in there. Last night, I went to the Costa Back to School night, and tonight I went to the Hanson Back to School night. I also, over the weekend, attended the India Independence celebration at Central Park. It was very, very enjoyable. I liked to see all the people celebrating and showing their pride, and that is my report. Moving on to item 6, receiving of public comments. The board shall give members of the public an opportunity to address the board either before or during the board's consideration of each agenda item. At a time so designated on the agenda, members of the public may also bring before the board matters that are not listed on the agenda of a regular meeting. The board may refer such a matter to the superintendent or designee or take it under advisement, but shall not take action at that time. The board may place the matter on the agenda of a subsequent meeting for discussion or action. Individual speakers shall be allowed 3 minutes to address the board on each agenda or non-agenda item. The board shall limit total time for public input on each item to 20 minutes. And I have a speaker card here from Anna Etlander. Please come forward. Hello, welcome.
Thank you. This is my first time, but I feel it's really important. I really appreciate everything you said, Ms. Daniel. You really addressed a lot of the things I had to say regarding the LVLA versus the LEO program. I really appreciate your transparency as for the budget, but I feel this matter is really urgent. I'm heartbroken because I see my children they're in first and second grade. My daughter is not even 6 yet. My son is 7. They're sitting in the computer for the whole day and they can't even complete the whole day they're required to do. And this is only the second or third day. It can't continue like this. I'm sure the presentation you had in mind about what this program was supposed to accomplish is not accomplishing what you're thinking. I urge you to look into, really step into those children's shoes and go through what they're going through, not from a presentation about the program, but really sit through. As an adult, it's hard. As a child who's not even 6, first grade, second grade, it's impossible. They're not getting knowledge. They're just getting this ability to just sit there like potatoes in front of the TV or the computer. We try to problem solve. The Chromebooks are very small. The program doesn't fit. It's not user-friendly at all. Children can't find the buttons to go through and complete all the assignments, which they're graded on, and they can't give the progress. It's not reflected. Their knowledge is not reflected. They're smart. My daughter in first grade, she can be in the second grade level, but she's learning all those things that she just has to sit through everything, even though she already knows it. But she can't show it, and the teacher can't see it, and they can't grade it, because she can't get through the program. I've worked with children. I earned my bachelor's. I worked on my master's. I've worked with children and studied since I was 18. I'm dedicating to children through all my life. I see them suffer. And I've talked to other parents. I've seen reports from other children that say the same thing. This program is impossible. I urge you to really look into the program and make some changes. And I don't know if you can continue the LVLA, tweak it, make it cheaper, something. But this is not feasible. I stopped working specifically so I could support my children last year in their LVLA, and I chose to do the same thing this year to support the children and the teachers. But we're all going crazy, and it's not beneficial to their education at all. Thank you.
Thank you. I could ask the superintendent to have someone from staff contact Mrs. Ertlander and see if they can help her with the issue. I'd appreciate it. Secondly, we have, and I'm going to botch this name and I'll apologize in advance, Sertinder Vayuru. I'm sure I didn't say your name right, but I'm hoping you know who you are.
Yeah, basically our community concerns. We live in New College Park Phase 1 development area, so there are about 6 developments going on, so out of which almost 80 to 90, 60% is occupancy already is there. So I don't know if there is a rule or not, but I heard about it just like when school has supposed to start by the time 40% occupancy is there. So it looks like we're going to occupy the 100% by January. So, but as per the knowledge from the board, the MHCSD board, we came to know that Costa school is going to start in March and then going to end in the fall of 2023. So it seems to us, our residents, needs to run their kids across the LUSD elementary schools until then. So we request that because as per builder increase the rate of occupancy or the rate of construction based on the current market, but at the same time he didn't plan anything to start the school early. So the school has been going on as planned. So our concern is that how long we need to run for outside of our neighborhood school, one thing. So we request you guys to like strongly work with the builder or city, MICSD, make it as a big concern to them that school has to start as soon as possible because the occupancy is already more than 70% right now across the phase 1 development. So that's the main request. So if you would suggest me that bring it to the MICSD board as well, we are working on that. And then also every one of us, who live in the college park, we are concerned about it. So the next thing is that anyway, so school starting, finishing is going to take 1.5 years, even though they start whatever based on the request in next 3 months. So another one is are we really thinking about scaling up in classrooms in the next neighborhood schools like Cardos, Hanson? Because right now our students are being scattered across these Mountain House. That's one big concern. But even though, even if you have vacancy or the more resources or rooms in other classrooms, so can you guys shuffle and then try to give us the occupancy in Hanson and Elementary corridors, because we are close to those schools, and then these parents needs to cross the Grant Line Road. And then, once the, office is open, all the parents needs to go to office, driving to the Bay Area, most of them, it's going to be, hectic for them to drop, in other schools. So I don't know, maybe if you are not in a neighborhood school, you guys provide the buses. So those are the two main concerns. So school start date as well as the scaling up in the nearby schools for the, as per the occupancy of the.
Thank you. I could ask Superintendent to have someone reach out to the gentleman and try to help him understand.
Yeah. Is your phone number on the blue card? I'll get it. It's all right.
Thank you. Moving on to item 7, consent items for consideration. Governing Board meeting minutes, contracts under $50,000. The computer is being exceedingly slow today for some reason. Sown and Grow, $3,000. Kid Yo Power, $5,950. Augmentative Communication Solutions LLC, $3,600. Spark Hire Inc., not to exceed $5,489, and Biological Sciences Curriculum Study, $0. Ratification of preliminary budget revision for June 2021, budget revision and warrants list for July 2021, ratification of new hires, 2021, 2022, ratification of resignations, updated fundraisers. If any of the board would like to pull or comment on any of the items, otherwise I will entertain a motion.
Move to approve the consent items for consideration.
Second.
On a motion by Trustee Olsen and seconded by Trustee Boulay, all in favor?
Aye.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Student
Aye.
preferential vote, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And if Trustee Clements would like to do the honors.
We would like to welcome the following new hires for the 2021-2022 school year. James Brum, 7th/8th grade science teacher. Brittany Cavaletto, alternate education teacher. Diana Diaz-Mora, speech-language pathology assistant. Sandhya Gautam, and I apologize if I mispronounced that one, bilingual instructional aide / noon duty supervisor. Ashley Goddard, high school staff secretary. Amber Ham, self-contained classroom teacher. Amber Hill, self-contained classroom teacher. Jamie LeGrand, self-contained classroom teacher. Julie Moran, self-contained classroom teacher. Dawn Myers, self-contained classroom teacher. Courtney Perez, self-contained classroom teacher. Bradley Reeves, alternate education teacher. Aylin Sanchez Mendoza, world language Spanish teacher. Alexis Thigpen, Custodian Security 3, Cassandra Valdespino, Speech Language Pathologist, and Aileen White, High School Vice Principal. Welcome.
Welcome. Moving on to item 8, District Administrative Reports. Dr. Nicholas.
Okay, I have about 5 items I want to cover, but it's serendipitous, sir, that I was going to give an update on the Costa construction project, so you have good timing. Currently, our architect has moved forward to the Department of School Architecture for their approval process for the Costa project. We can anticipate that in early 2022, I would predict March, that the architectural design will be approved by DSA. That opens the door for 2 functions to happen. Function 1 is the 5004 application, which applies to the funding of the school, and it's the formal process to put us on the state funding list. Process number 2, which is a little less bureaucratic, we would anticipate a springtime groundbreaking ceremony in spring of 2022, I would say April or May. The construction of the school will probably be on a 14 month cycle, maybe 15 months, and it will be opening in August of 2023. So the complications for our new board members and our community members is, in order to build a K-8 school in Mountain House, you have to have a combination of approved, developed map, which generates Mello-Roos bond funds. That has to go through a process. And that is contingent on the developers doing what developers do to get all the ground, all the infrastructure, all of the necessary bureaucratic steps and boxes to be checked. And that approval happens at the CSD first and at the county. Once they've approved a developed map, then our district can go to our finance team and we can sell Mello-Roos bonds. That pays for a portion of the school construction. The second part is state funding. In 1998, when the community was built and the plan was put in place, there was a very smooth state construction bond process that was tied to how we build our K-8 schools. Since 2014, that has not been as smooth, and they did not anticipate that in 1998. So the 5004 application is our way to formally put ourselves on the list to get state construction bond money from a state construction bond to pay for the other portion of the construction. So again, Mello-Roos and state funding is how we pay for the schools. In order to do that, you have to have a mitigation agreement with the developers. We had a very long, drawn-out negotiation with the developer, mostly associated with Neighborhood A. MHI is the name of the company. And there's a second major developer and other smaller developers in Neighborhood B who currently don't have a mitigation agreement with the district, and we are in negotiations. So in order to get all the money we need to build the school all at one time, somewhere in the next 6 months, we have to get all the agreements aligned to assist the district in where it needs to go. So our hope is not to build the school in 2 phases, but to build the school in 1 phase. And in order to do that, developers have to work out all of the infrastructure and groundwork necessary to get the approved, developed map so we can sell the bonds. That's the easy part. The hard part is there's no current existing state construction bond. The state construction bond in 2020 failed. In my opinion, and no one has to agree with this, they named it Prop 13 and created a confusion. And therefore, it got, I think it was 52-48 was the vote in terms of percentage. So the money from the 2018 Prop 51 has already been doled out or designated for use. Therefore, we need to have the November of 2022 state construction bond, which is coming forward, to pass so that when our number comes up on the list and the state sells the bonds from the state, an approved state construction bond, we not only get money for Cordis, but we also get the money for Costa. And so it's a very complicated process. But since I actually had this set up, it was serendipitous, sir, that you would bring up this topic. So where we sit now is we're going to get approved. We can control that. It's going to go to the 5004 application. We can control that. It's going to get on the state funded list. We can control that. What we can't control is the other factors around the developer's responsibilities, and we have to have the state construction bond pass. Second of all, moving on to a new topic, I wanted to thank the superintendent.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
A question or a clarification, actually, just for people who may not have understood exactly what you said. The school district is moving as fast as we physically can to get that school built. The only impediments are outside forces that we have no control over.
That is correct, but we are currently doing everything we can, including negotiating and pressuring through multiple vehicles to get everybody at the table that needs to be at the table to get all of this aligned.
Thank you.
We had an interesting challenge that we were able to solve with the help of a local superintendent that I wanted to give a compliment to. We have bigger numbers at the high school than we anticipated for our football team. And we had a shortage of helmets. So at the county superintendent's meeting, I reached out to all the superintendents and said, we're about 25 helmets short to fulfill our needs of our football team. And Mr. David Toming of New Jerusalem said, we have extra ones. And we were able to get our athletic directors together and able to make sure our youngsters had the football helmets to play football for this season. So that was very nice of him. And thank you to their athletic director, whose name I don't know. I also have some unfortunate news, but it's kind of related to the construction market. Recently, the board approved a solar project in which we're going to put solar constructed overhangs. What are we calling those? Solar panels on those. I want to say thingamajigs, but this strikes me. It's the
Shade
parking
structures.
shade structure. Thank you. My goodness. I love being in my 50s. And the original projection before COVID and the impacts on the construction trade and the materials costs was approximately $2.36 million over 20 years. There's a lot of upfront costs, and then over time, because the electric bill's lower, it creates and generates a surplus. Unfortunately, supply chain, steel costs, and some other issues at the school sites is going to require the initial investment by the company who's putting them in to go up, which is anticipated and in this market. And so the savings from the solar project, unfortunately, is going to drop by about $750,000 over 20 years. It's still a worthy endeavor because it's still $1.6 million of savings. Unfortunately, we have to hope that there's a significant change in during the bidding process that drops that price. But I needed to inform the board that that's an unfortunate outcome of the post-COVID world, or not that we're past COVID, but in the market that we're dealing with. And then I just wanted to give a quick update on Leo numbers, and then I was going to have our director, Busatil, come up and give the word came out on last Friday, but there was a nice flow chart, which is good communication on how modified quarantine works, and we're going to have Director Busatil give that presentation. But very quickly, we have 328 students currently in our independent study Leo program at the TK8 level. I was told yesterday that at the high school it's only 17 COVID-related students in the online program. That's significantly a small number when you consider the high school's on the verge of hitting 2,000. There's approximately 24 to 30 individual families on our students on the wait list. Some of those are families. The reason why that's a fluctuation is we have some folks that are vacillating back and forth about what they want to do, and we're getting to a point where we're going to start placing people tomorrow on the wait list into the program. We have approximately space for about half of that 24 to 30 students, and they're going to be placed on a first-come, first-served basis. We were able to staff that with 9 teachers, and there's a point where you can only add so many kids into the given programs. That's why we have a wait list. So I want to thank all the staff and all the hard work that's gone into that. Just to remind the board that on July 12th in the evening, they made a decision about independent study, and on August 13th, we had a program in place for 328 plus students, which is a very difficult endeavor, and we were able to staff it. So thank you to all the hard work from our staff and the continued hard work from Principal Duran and the team out there at Lammersville. So with that, I would like to invite Director Busatil up, and who's going to explain the communication tool tied to the modified quarantine, which is a loosening of last year's quarantine rules based on public health.
This is until they change the rules tomorrow, right?
All right. Good evening, President Pombo, trustees, Dr. Nicholas.
Good
Thank you
evening.
for having me here again this evening. So at our last board meeting, I did talk about some of our safety protocols related to COVID, including modified quarantine, but we understand that with everything changing and there's so much information, so we really wanted to make sure that we are re-communicating this information out to our community. And then just a reminder, as I shared at our last meeting, if you go to our district website and you go to departments and down to student services and you click on that, you'll see links to all of the documents that I share in these meetings, like all the CDPH guidance that we're following, the flow chart that you're going to see tonight. There's lots of information there for anyone that wants to be able to access it and view it again later. And then also just a reminder that the modified quarantine information that I'm sharing pertains to students only. Staff are under OSHA guidance, which they are not able to do a modified quarantine. So this is the infographic. Don't zero in on this too much, but I just wanted to share where the information is coming from. So Dr. Park shared this information with our team Monday. We got this actual infographic, very nice flow chart. And so this is what we're using as we continue to have cases that come in, whether they're staff or students. That way we have one consistent protocol that we're following. So in the situation with an unvaccinated contact, where both the case and the contact are masked during their interaction. And again, the reminder is that for modified quarantine and everything that we're being provided with this year, the focus is to keep our students in the classrooms. So, and that's the purpose of the modified quarantine. Also, again, as I shared at our last meeting, per the CDPH guidance in the FAQ portion, the transmission in a school site where both parties are wearing a mask, transmission of the cases seem to be unlikely, and so that's why they've given us the modified quarantine guidance. So if there's been an exposure and the student that was exposed is symptomatic, then the student would need to quarantine for 10 days since their symptoms occurred. And then again, they would be able to return to school after they've been fever-free for 24 hours with no medication being given. Again, we would recommend testing. Testing has changed a little bit from last year. Last year it was 5 to 7, and then it transitioned to being 3 to 5 days after the exposure. If a student is asymptomatic, they continue to attend school if they remain asymptomatic, and that is when we're double checking and asking our community to support the school sites and doing that self-screener and double checking, how are you feeling? Do you have any temperature? Do you have any COVID-related symptoms? Continuing to mask appropriately as required, and that's both indoors and outdoors. So right now, we don't require, masks are not required outdoors unless you're someone that's been placed on a modified quarantine. Undergoing at least twice weekly testing during the 10-day quarantine period, and they would only be released from quarantine for the purposes of attending in-person instruction. There'd be no sports activities, no youth group activities, no community activities, no any of our Science Olympiad teams or anything like that. It's simply for going and getting direct instruction in the classroom setting. In the situation where we have an unvaccinated contact, where the case or the contact is also unmasked, students must quarantine for 10 days, again, since the symptoms occurred. Again, they may return after the 10 days, assuming that they are fever-free for 24 hours without medication, and again, recommended testing. If they are asymptomatic and they have a negative test after day 5, the quarantine may end after day 7 if they continue to monitor for symptoms daily from their last day of exposure and then follow all recommended interventions through day 14. And that includes wearing the mask. Continue to quarantine from all extracurricular activities and community events. And then also just a reminder that when it talks about the day from a last exposure, so let's say that I came in contact today with someone that came up positive and I was identified as a close contact, day 1 is tomorrow. It's not today, day 1 is tomorrow. And then if they're positive, they test after day 5 for the last day of exposure and then follow CDPH isolation guidance. So that's again, 2 people get a test after day 5, they find out one's negative, they're able to come out after day 7, but I've tested positive after day 5. I then go into another set of rules and I have to go into isolation as a confirmed positive case. In the situation where we have a vaccinated contact, so if they're symptomatic, again, they have to quarantine for the 10 days, come back after the 10 days if they don't have a fever, also following up with testing. If they're asymptomatic, there is not a quarantine. Definitely still want to make sure you're monitoring for symptoms, that you don't become a symptomatic vaccinated individual. Again, testing recommended 3 to 5 days after exposure. And then also just a reminder, we have an upcoming COVID vaccination event, and that's in partnership with Dr. Parks from CDPH and Sutter Health. And so our first dose is August 27th. Our second dose is September 17th. Individuals 12 and up would be eligible for the Pfizer vaccine. And this time, different than our last vaccination event, we are also have the opportunity to provide the Johnson & Johnson single-dose vaccine for individuals that are ages 18 and older. And that will be at our Professional Development Center from 10 to 5. Individuals are welcome to make appointments, but they're also accepting walk-ins as well. Any questions?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item B, District Enrollment Report.
Yeah, I have 2 numbers to report. So on Friday, we reported the first enrollment number, and I have an update to that. But it's important to note that our district policy is we do a seat count every day the first 3 days of the year, and then we begin dropping students who haven't shown up the first 3 days. It's a clear your record. And it's also very, very important to staffing and any adjustments we have to make to all kinds of things. So the number that came out on Friday was that we were at 7,018 students. However, we knew that number would drop, but I have good news with that. The number only dropped a small amount. It dropped to 6,966. So we're 44 kids short of 7,000 students. But I also want to talk about the process, because each year in the past we had a significant 34. I'm 54, and we have a 34 need to grow, and 44 was the wrong number, so we're just kind of riffing off of the 4. Thank you, Mr. Pombo. So in the past, last year we dropped approximately 180 students in the same time period, and the year before that was over 200. And so to drop only 52, and I did that on a calculator, to drop only 52 is a really good thing. It says that our processes are getting tighter. And also know, because of the pandemic and the large number of enrollments that we were dealing with, it was a behemoth effort. And Mr. Harrison and Ms. Bustatil and others, Mr. Miller, Dr. Miller, very complicated. So to only miss by 52 is pretty good. It helped us staff appropriately, and we aren't having to do as much changes. So I want to say 6966 is our today's enrollment number with seat counts, and that's where we're going to start the year. Thank you.
Thank you. Item C, District Maintenance and Operations Report. Mr. LeGrand.
Good evening. Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
School started last Thursday. I wouldn't say it was our smoothest start ever, but we got everything done we needed to get done. We had a lot of staffing issues to deal with, and we had some HVAC problems, particularly at the high school. And then we had some sprinklers that were coming on during the day when they weren't supposed to be on. So those are our biggest issues we dealt with last Thursday. But we got through it and finished the week strong. In the warehouse, we ran very short of staff about a week and a half before school started. We were down to just myself and Sonia, my assistant. And I want to really, June and Ruby came over from the district office, and then Ingrid from the high school came over to help us out and get us, help us process those last 5-10 pallets of materials we had to get out. So really big thank you to them. Caroline and Lisa also came over from special ed. There was a couple of pallets of special ed stuff. They came over and helped us. They even made a couple of deliveries for us. So without the effort of those people, we would not have made it. So my thanks to them. On Monday, the 9th, I had a meeting with our grounds company at the high school. We're having a problem with the tennis courts and the water's running onto the courts. We walked the site. The planter bed's up here on the south course. The tennis court's down here. One of the things that my dad taught me when I was little, water does not run uphill, so it's very easy for water to run down the hill onto the courts. So the solution was to dig a trench, about a 100-foot trench, about yay deep, to keep that water off the course. And there were a couple breaks in the area next to the softball field. Those got repaired, so we think we have the issue resolved. I haven't heard any complaints in the last week or so that's good. Installation, update on solar projects. Dr. Nichols talked about this a little bit. We had a meeting, special meeting today to talk about some of the issues he talked about earlier. We've been having weekly meetings. Last 2 weeks we had meetings on Thursday. We have another meeting tomorrow. And then staffing update. Our evening custodian at the high school started, and the district courier and receiving clerk started last week. So that's good news. And then we still have an opening at Bethany, and we still have one opening at the high school. So we were going to try and do interviews this week, but there's just no way I could get them done this week. So we're going to do them next week. So that's all I have. Happy to answer any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Legrand.
Moving on to action items, item 9. Item A, consider approval of 2021-22 inter and intra-district transfer requests. I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve 2021-2022 inter and intra-district transfer requests.
Second.
On a motion by Trustee Clement and seconded by Trustee Boulay. Student preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item B, consider approval of contract with Seneca Family Agencies, a non-public school for specialized academic instruction for the 2021-22 school year. Contract amount $104,858. Staff report.
Yes, this is a special needs student IEP-driven recommendation.
Just for clarification, this is for an individual student.
Correct.
Thank you. Further questions or comments by the board? I'll entertain
Move to
a motion.
approve contract with Seneca Family of Agencies and non-public school for specialized academic instruction for the 2021-2022 school year. Contract amount $104,858.
Second.
On a motion by Trustee Clements and seconded by Trustee Daniel, student preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item C. If I can get my computer to cooperate, we'll get to item C. Consider approval of variable term waiver for certificated employees. Amadi Kafi, Career Technical Education Business Teacher. Jody Larson, Career Technical Education Culinary Arts Teacher. Ken Wone, Career Technical Education Computer Science Teacher. Kelly Loomis, Self-Contained Classroom Teacher. And Jamie Rodriguez, Self-Contained Classroom Teacher. Staff report?
Yes. First of all, we have 3 career technical education teachers that we're very excited about, which will help us build our CTE program. The CTE credentials are a complication within a well-intended program. And I had mentioned to the board that we were at the phase of hiring in this current school year where waivers would be necessary to fill all the growth spots. And so we have 2 classroom teachers and we have 3 CTE teachers that we're excited about. We have great facilities, and we'd like to fill them with teachers who can grow the programs.
Questions or comments by the board? I'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve the variable term waiver for certificated employees.
Second.
On a motion by Trustee Boulay and seconded by Trustee Daniel, student preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10, information and discussion items. Board self-evaluation. Staff report?
Yeah, I think it was about 3, maybe 4 years ago, the board at the time said that as part of the annual cycle, that it would like to do a board self-evaluation, just kind of a check-in on practices and the board's role of budget oversight, district oversight, and policies. And we used the CSBA model. It was put together, and we've been using it since. So we finished that process.
And just for clarification, the graph you see only reflects the 3 board members who were board members prior to, who were board members during the term that this self-evaluation covers, and that's why there are only 3 answers per question.
They were pretty consistent.
Yeah.
The one question, I know it's CSBA model, but when they ask us if we advocate for the district at the local, state, and national levels, I have to answer, well, no, we don't advocate. No, none of us fly to Washington, D.C. Even though it's a CSBA thing, I kind of think it's an unfair question because, we do a lot at the local level. We do quite a bit at the state level, but to answer honestly, we don't do it at the federal level, right?
Well, I agree with you to an extent, but we have contacted national congressmen, those senators, those sorts of things with issues, and that's how I feel it's talking. But some of the questions probably aren't tailored to our specific situation as well as they could be. I'll agree with that.
Yeah, and
I think that, like on that particular question, yes, okay, I do the form email to the to the state senator and the House of Reps, right? But I don't really. Okay, yeah, a couple of emails, but it doesn't, and so I answer it differently than you because we have a different perception.
well, I also perceive advocating as a really, really active, proactive, and so yeah, for me, it's hard. Doing something, sending emails is doing something, but actually advocating, and to be honest, the advocate. Our priority is here. We have to advocate for what we need from them, but we need help on that. That's where the community could, maybe better communications with the community to help us do that would be more powerful.
Mr. President, can I give an example, I think, of what? So when Hold Harmless happened, we rallied everyone. So we were in contact with then Assemblywoman Eggman's office, working directly with her chief of staff. We had access to Dennis Myers of CSBA, who were directly in negotiations on the state budget, as was the chief of staff for Eggman. We spoke with Wes Smith, who's the president of AXA, and SECESA through the county superintendent of schools. So it may not be a direct link. It may be an access point to an access point to a direct link. So when you were talking, I was thinking that was probably the best example of what happens when we get put under pressure. Anybody who can get to anybody, and we kind of coordinate to flank something. So that would be an example, I think, of state advocacy.
Right, and what I'm saying is that really because of the way that education is in California, 98% of the needed intercession is at the state level, right? That's where the funding comes from. That's where the rules come from. So when I read that question, if it just said local and state level, that's 98% of our job. But when we add in the word federal, it's like, well, so I guess maybe it's a consensus that, well, okay, federal when we need to, but the primary thrust of the question is local and state. And then my answer would have been a 5 rather than a 4 or whatever I did.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's just a consensus of the board as to what that means.
Yeah.
I struggled a little bit with that one.
Yeah, I did too.
But if you take away, if you account for the inevitable slight variation in interpretation of the questions, I think the answers were really consistent.
Yeah, I think we think pretty highly of ourselves. I was pleased with the board self-evaluation.
I think it showed we were trying to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I don't think anyone gave us all 5s, so that's good. Further questions or comments by the board on the board self-evaluation?
Do better. No, I'm just kidding.
All right. Thank you. Moving on to item B, 2x2x2 committee meeting. Staff report?
So this is my 9th year in the district, and this effort has taken a couple of different forms, and it all was done with the purpose of trying to develop a very positive and good working relationship with our partners at the CSD through the district roles and the board roles. This model seems to have worked the best of all the different efforts. And the 2x2x2 is the first 2 are the 2 presidents. The second 2 are 2 other trustees or directors. And then the other 2 are the general manager and the superintendent. And so we've had, I believe, 3 meetings with the CSD over the past 2 years or so. COVID kind of created a gap. Mostly exchanging ideas about development projects and talking about updates on what we're doing. But this is a vehicle for this board to talk about potential issues that their board faces that might be aligned. And I know I do a lot of work behind the scenes with General Manager Pinkerton to make sure we know what the developers are up to and the builders are doing, and projects that are coming, like the lights is a perfect example that our conversations led to him realizing, wow, if we got that done faster, we would help the schools. He's a good guy. So this is an opportunity for the board to discuss that as well.
I don't have any specific agenda items in mind at the moment, but I would like our staff to reach out to their staff and try to set up a meeting sometime in the not too distant future, in the next month or two, that the staffs and boards can discuss agenda items or what have you, and have a meeting and just kind of compare notes with our friends over at the CSD.
And the last thing I would add is it was the intention for it to be informal, meaning not a Brown Act orientation. It was supposed to be an informal conversation. They have a process through their attorney's advice, which is different than ours, and so they post the meeting. But in general, it's still intended to be an informal ad hoc committee. So I will reach out to General Manager Pinkerton and see what we can do sometime September, October.
Sounds good. Would anyone like to add anything to the conversation?
I just wanted to thank Dr. Nicholas for such a great effort in communicating with Pinkerton, Steve Pinkerton. I think that the relationship, the cooperation is the best I've seen in years, and I think that's great and beneficial to everyone. So I appreciate the efforts you go on behalf of our district.
Indeed. Thank you, sir.
I would echo that and also thank Mr. Pinkerton himself,
Yes.
because the cooperation The air environment of cooperation from him as the general manager is better than anything I've seen for previous ones, and especially the name eludes me, but his predecessor was kind of a challenge.
Yeah, I'd like to mention something. I'd like to congratulate them at CSD. I mean, it's an informal thing, but yeah, for the 2x2x2 on their opening on August 21st of the town hall and the library from 2 to 4 p.m. So I'd like to congratulate them on making sure the celebration is in place, even though it was pre-COVID. And I would really encourage the community to be there to celebrate with all of us and with them at CSD. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to item 11, calendar. Thursday, August 26, 2021, District English Language Advisory Committee, DLAC, at 6:30, and it's a virtual meeting. Item B, Wednesday, September 1st, 2021, next regular governing board meeting at 7 p.m. here in the boardroom. Item C, Monday, September 6th, 2021, Labor Day holiday, district facilities will be closed. Wednesday, September 15th, 2021, Safety Committee meeting at 3:30 here in the boardroom. And item E, Thursday, September 23rd, 2021, Facilities Committee meeting at 6:30, also here in the boardroom. In just a moment, we will be adjourning to closed session where we will discuss Public Employee Discipline Dismissal Release Complaint, Government Code 54957, conference with labor negotiators, Government Code Section 54957.6, conference with real property negotiators, Government Code 54956.8, and employee appointment, employment evaluation superintendent, Government Code 54357.6. And I will entertain a motion.
Move to adjourn to closed session.
Second.
On a motion by Trustee Olsen and seconded by Trustee Boulay. Student preferential vote.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are now adjourned to closed session, and I would like to thank everyone for their attendance this evening, and have a wonderful rest of your evening.